Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's part 5 of the Missed Hashira. Enjoy. It appeared that the man had been knocked out by his fall and thus didn't respond, so you both took it as a sign to head on and just left him there on the ground for his friend with the hurt wrist to come and get him. There had been a third guy initially, but he had just disappeared, obviously so drunk that he had just wandered off into the night and left the other two nuisances there. Wow, they were annoying, you commented in a half as you and Muichiro left the scene. Yeah. Especially when they tried to touch you like that, Muichiro said, and you cocked your head curiously at the back of him. Is he being protective? You wondered, but you didn't want to ask the question to break that thought apart with the possible reality check of a reply. Thinking that he was being protective of you was feeding you for now, and you wanted to remain in your delulu for a little while longer, if possible. Well, thank you for saving me, I appreciate it, you said softly. I wanted to, he replied. I can't have them putting their hands on you. You smiled to yourself in the dark, thinking about that line for the rest of the walk until you got closer to the woods where you would need to head into the thicker parts and search for the castle. Muichiro seemed to have a fairly good idea of where this castle was and started heading off into the bush silently with you following him still, keeping as silent as him as you followed right behind him so as not to leave any tracks. It was a good 20 minutes more before Muichiro slowed and placed a hand behind him, signalling you to stop, so you did. He then turned slowly around to you and stepped right up in front of you and leaned in. Naturally, you leaned back, not wanting to get too close to his face, but he didn't appear to be fazed at all. The castle is ahead, he said in a soft voice, his face moving to the side of yours so he could speak closer to your ear. I sense demons there. I assume they're watching the place. We need to kill them before they see us. Okay, got it. I'll use my 6th form, ultraviolet light, you said softly back to him. It's pretty much an invisible attack. He nodded and pulled back a little and moved his face in front of yours. You held your breath as you looked into his dull blue eyes. Usually they were quite matte, misty blue, but now they appeared to have a little more light in them, and you stared into them, almost spellbound. You are capable, he finally said softly after a little while, but I won't let anything happen to you. You felt your heart rate increase and your face warm up and hoped that the darkness was covering for you right now. You needed that darkness as your wingman. If it had been broad daylight, you were sure he would have seen the look of delight on your face. Thank you, was all you could get out at that point. So you cleared your throat after that line and tried to focus on the mission at hand. How did you want to do this? I'm the Missed Hashira, he replied. I can create a cover for us while you use your piercing attack. Was it 6th form? You wanted to cheer. It had taken him a long time, but finally he was starting to pay some attention to you. Yes, that's the one. Honestly though, 1st form red, 3rd form yellow and 6th form ultraviolet will all do well for this. Only that red and yellow show the colour as the attack is happening. Ultraviolet does not. Wait, unless demons can see ultraviolet light? You paused, scrunching your brows in thought. It's fine, I'm here too. We're a good team, he replied. Okay, you said with a nod. Oh, and also I have a block attack, 5th form blue. I can use that if we need to. The blue isn't bright, it will blend into the night. He nodded and turned around to face away from you, his back to you. Let's go, he said, taking a purposeful step forwards. Any idea on where the book is being held? You asked softly. It'll be where the demons are thickest and strongest, he said back to you, and you nodded. That made sense. Slowly you followed him to the edge of the clearing, crouching with him as you both looked out over the lower bushes towards the castle that loomed ahead. It looked abandoned. It was deathly silent. Not a night creature stirred in this part of the woods, and it felt strange. As you crouched there listening to the deafening silence, you felt your skin crawl. You could feel the demon's presence ahead, and you closed your eyes to get a better feel, a better reading of what lay ahead. With eyes closed, you sensed the chilling presence of 4 demons. They were on the outside of the castle, hidden amongst the shadows there. You opened your eyes and shifted your weight on your feet slightly. I sense 4, you breathed into Muichiro's ear, leaning slowly over towards him. Oh, he replied. I sensed 3. You didn't reply to that. You knew what you had felt, and you were keen to show him that there were indeed 4. I could probably attack from here, you thought as you mentally checked the distance from where you were hidden to where the castle was, but there was no moon that night, and you weren't exactly sure how far it was. But if I do attack, the demons might call out and then alert the others. Might be best to do a quick attack up close, surrounded in mist to cover ourselves, you thought, leaning over to Muichiro to make known your thoughts, but you weren't paying attention to where you were leaning as you leaned over, and he had turned his head to say something to you, and his nose brushed yours as your face gently collided with his. With a start you flinched and yanked backwards, almost toppling over had he not grabbed you. What happened? he asked softly. Sorry, I had an idea, but then I got too close. I'm sorry. You babbled in a whisper. What's your idea? He asked, not even commenting on the fact that you two had almost kissed. You told him and he nodded. That will work. There's a door over there. He gestured with his chin in the direction. But we should scale the side of the castle, up that end. I don't feel the presence of demons there. We can get our bearings. Okay, you replied, looking at how tall the castle was. Am I going to be able to get up there? I guess the brickwork is rough and has good footing, you thought, squinting at the castle to see if you could find the best line to take when scaling the place. Ready? He asked, shifting one foot back and placing one hand on his sheathed sword. Oh, we're doing this. Okay, ready, you thought, as you copied him and waited. Like a bolt of lightning, he shot from the bushes and headed straight for the castle, with you keeping hot on his heels. As you ran, a dense mist rose up around you both, but you could still sense exactly where the demons were, so as you approached the first one, you called your ultraviolet light attack under your breath and drew your sword, feeling the power leave your weapon before resheathing it and continuing on. You heard the faint cry of a demon dying, but by then you were halfway up the side of the castle, nimbly jumping from one little rocky outcropping to the next, until you and Muichiro jumped to the last of the wall and landed on the other side. Both of you landed with swords drawn, backs together so as to watch each other's blind spots, but nothing came at you, so you relaxed slightly. I got one on the way up, you said softly to Muichiro, keeping your breathing as calm as you could. Yes, you were right. There are 4, he said. Well, 3 now, so technically you're correct, you said with a cheeky smirk, as you looked back over your shoulder at him. He blinked at you and didn't say anything in reply, but he didn't seem to have that dull look in his eye like he usually did, and you grinned. You were about to say something else, but a sensation washed over you, and you turned away to look around. Yin, Muichiro suddenly called. Don't move! Just then it felt like someone had grabbed the castle and turned it upside down, and in your confusion you stepped to your left to keep your footing, but then all of a sudden you were thrown into what appeared to be a giant weightless void. It was pitch black, and you were suspended in midair, floating aimlessly. Oop! What happened? I will see you next week at the usual one-shot time for part 6. See you then.